I feel like women have been lied to for such a long time. And, I think it was an overcorrection for trying to get women to have the right to be able to pursue a career and stuff and interests outside of the household. But we've been told, like, you can have it all. And we kind of know that everything has a trade off. Like, you can't have it all. Everything is like a give and a take. And for a long time it was that, and even now if you still go on like social media, it's kind of perpetuated there. It's the myth of the biological clock. Like if you go on Reddit, that's an entire forum, and it's like, what do you mean that this is a myth? So we were told you can go and have your high power career, and that you can postpone childbearing into your 30, like late 30s into your 40s, and that there's no payoff, that there's no risk, that you're just as fertile, that this is the patriarch. And then you listen to these fertility doctors, you're like, that is not the case. There is a cliff, and the way that I was looking at it is that the fertility for a woman is kind of like an N. So you have like this really happy middle ground, which is usually into like your late 20s, early 30s, and then it quite literally is a cliff. Like it tanks. It's almost like a reverse hockey stick. So once you get into your late 30s, the quality of your eggs and just like the viability, it drops. And then you can say, oh well, there's these technologies like egg freezing, and I always thought that that was a super safe bet. I was in my early 20s and I was single, and I was like, well, maybe that's like an option if I don't find the right guy at the right time. And I thought that the success rate was really high. And it turns out it's not at all. Like it's actually very, very rare to have like a successful egg freeze, and let alone an embryo freeze, and then that turn into a viable pregnancy. So I just think that we were told we can have it all. We can delay everything. Biology isn't real. You can be Demi Moore and have a baby in your 40s and you don't need a man. And I just don't think that conversation is serving women, because like you were mentioning, the data suggests that there's 80% of women that didn't plan on being childless, and how devastating that has to be.
Yeah. Uh, there's a lot of lying going on, and it's coming from different corners, different voices. And again, to me, as a data scientist, I'm just looking at data, and I was expecting to have open, objective dialogues with people who are saying different things, and to hopefully have a dialogue or even enlighten people as to reality. But some people don't want to listen, and some people are rather threatened by facts. In the documentary, well, first of all, I traveled to 24 countries. I met 230 people. The majority were women. On my crew, we were 9 people. That changed depending where we were filming, 3, 4 at a time. But I was the only man. It was young women in particular who were drawn to this topic because they want to know, what's going on in the world. And as young women, I think they were drawn to understand how do people balance work and careers. So, and you mentioned fertility doctors. I sat down for long interviews with 5 fertility doctors, and they all said exactly what you're saying, and how the media distorts this. That usually when, I don't know about Demi Moore, I don't want to say, but usually when a celebrity gets pregnant, often it's an egg donor, so it's not their own egg, or it's an embryo frozen a long time ago, and embryos are more likely to lead to success than egg freezing. But and I see this even on Twitter, even just commenting on some of my own data or posting that this is wrong, it's easy to have a child in their 30s. Here's a fact, and this is just a raw simple fact, and this is for every industrialized nation and beyond without exception. Well, there's one exception. I beg your pardon, I'll come to that in a second. It's a small one. The probability of a woman without a child ever becoming a mother after age 30 is 50-50 at best. Most countries, it's slower than that, 28, 29. So if you haven't had a child by 28, 29, maybe 30, it's 50-50 whether you ever will. The exception is Israel, where it's 31. It's 1 year extended. When I asked people, I did an online quiz just out of interest, and the majority of people thought that was either 35 or 40. No one was really thinking 30. And this is a side of fertility windows. It's a side of any individual factor because there's so many factors. And the biggest one is simply not having a. So you're 33, you've done everything, you're ready, but you just had a breakup, and it's going to take 2 more years to find an next boyfriend who you find doesn't want kids, or the timing's off, or you're getting tired. So there's a multitude of reasons why delaying things, by definition, is riskier. And one point on the fertility women, the NSHIP, yeah, I guess I see that. That's right. Kind of it reaches a maximum and then goes down again. But in the world of statistics, we talk about variance. And variance means that, well, not everybody's the same. So I think we all want to know what is the fertility window for me. And we look at these average numbers. But for some women, it's much younger than others. Others, absolutely, it's later. We hear of people successfully having a child into the 40s. It happens, but those are the exceptions, which is why we probably hear about them. So it's riskier. And for any individual, you can't know what your risks are despite all the technologies. And I think for reason like you, when I first heard of this, I actually thought, oh, this is great. This is a potential solution. And for some individuals, it will work. But the more I've been talking to people, I realize that the kind of games we play with ourselves, I think there's a factor here that, oh, I've frozen my eggs now. I can keep working for another 5 years. I don't need to worry about this until I'm 40. And that's the way, again, breakups come to play. And then the ability to carry a pregnancy full term deteriorates so rapidly. There's a chart in the documentary, but after 33, 35, I mean, uh, fetal loss, it's just going like this.
Oof.
Um, and that's for one child. If you want two or three, like my gosh. So and this is harsh. I've got two sons, I've got a daughter, and I support them equally in terms of their career and everything else. So this isn't easy to solve without society making it much more flexible for careers and education. But we can't be telling people, "Oh, it's okay." That's a lie. It's not. And so that irritates me greatly when I hear that.
So it's around 33 or 35 when making it to full term becomes less likely?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's already going. I mean, the curve I'll do like this. It's kind of going early 30s, mid 30s, 40, and then by 50, it's, having a child at 50, it's almost two-thirds likelihood you're going to lose a child, even if you were to get pregnant. 45 is way up there as well. So, it's so there's three factors here. It's the number of eggs. The fertility doctors explained to me, including Dr. Andy Wang, who's Kim Kardashian's fertility doctor. He had this magic kind of way of describing how egg quality goes down from the age of 20, but also quantity. So you got the quantity of eggs reducing, the quality is deteriorating because a woman is born with her eggs. You don't make more eggs. They're
Mhm,
getting older with you. And
mhm.
then the ability to carry to term successfully. So, you know, we can't say a single age because it varies by individual, but a hard fact is by age 30, you have a 50-50 chance. And that's, apart from Israel, where it's 31, that's universal.
And that's so shocking because I feel like this is my anecdotal experience, just like talking with people in their 30s, late 20s, and then also in your documentary. There seems to be this universal self doubt or I'm not ready yet. I can't
Yeah.
imagine having a baby in my 20s, which used to be very normal. And biologically speaking, that seems to be the ideal window to have a child. But we have this idea that we're not ready, we're not mature enough, that we are still ourselves somehow a child or developing or and I find that I don't know, I found that to be really interesting. And then like this idea of control that seems to be there as well as people really and I think this probably goes into the fertility options is people really want to have like a hyper sense of control on everything. Well, I'm going to have my career exactly right here. I'm going to have the perfect partner and then I'm going to like flip on a switch and have a baby and it's not that easy. And I think our parents would always say, there's never a perfect time, right? There's never a perfect time. And they come to you when they come to you. But we are trying to like somehow fight that and have it all. And I don't know. I don't know where like that self doubt came, almost like this failure to launch where we don't have that inner belief that we can bring a child into the world.
There's a lot there. And, I agree with everything you're saying. I think perhaps it's natural to delay childbearing to, if it were the case, if it were that we can have whatever number of kids we want mid 30s, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Maybe it would be great for many people to do all the things they want to do, but that's not the reality. What I've found, the one optimistic thing, having made this documentary, is screening it to younger people and the reaction I'm getting from younger people. Strong reactions. I can give you one. There's a student at Cambridge University, Charlie Bentley Astor, who reached out to me. She actually invited me as a student to come and screen it there, but they cancelled it because some people thought it would be dangerous for women to learn about the idea of, having children.
Oh my
But that
gosh.
aside, Charlie's reaction herself was one of anger. She's 24, and her belief from society was that she had 10 more years before even needing to start to think about settling down and having children.
Mhm.
When she saw the facts from the documentary that it's 50-50 by age 30, first she described this period of anger, with society. Why had she been told this? Because the reality, she had only 5 years to get established career wise and everything else. And she came out with this phrase. I quote it a lot, but to me, it's so beautiful as an expression of how she felt. She was haunted by the future she might not have when she saw this, the realization that she may end up childless. And I mean, it's a beautiful statement, but it's a chilling statement. And when I hear comments like that, that gives me optimism that younger people, just armed with simple facts and the stories of other people who had wanted children and ended up childless, and frankly, are the term that community uses, grief. They're grieving the fact that they never had children. I think society is just not being informing people, and partly there are voices out there that are lying, and that's clear,
Mhm.
with their own agendas because they think the environment's more important, or they whatever the reasons are. Not everybody in those camps, but some are. But there's also a society we've just let this go unchallenged. That okay, maybe there are too many people, and maybe we can have kids in the 30s, and maybe I should just let my kids lead their career and you know see what happens. But when you tell young people about this, there's shock and horror. Like, what do you mean I might end up childless? So I therefore am quite hopeful that this somewhat can and will change.